Hello and welcome. I'm Lanre Lasese and I'll be your guide today as we review the activities for this week at the National Conference. Unlike the previous week where 4 committee reports were considered, this week was not that rich as regards the number of reports considered, but it was still eventful. I also have our interview segment with a delegate. But first, let's take the report. The week started with the delegate raising a point of order over media reports that northern delegates were being lobbied to pass a new constitution.
That the leadership of this conference has been lobbying northern delegates to adopt a new constitution at this conference. And the story says that this has been done by the deputy chairman of this conference, Professor Bolaji Akeyemi. We need to know who is pursuing an agenda and who in whose interest.
Even though some delegates felt otherwise, the deputy chairman spoke on his role.
All I did was to ensure that both sides start talking to each other before we have a big conflict on the floor over new constitution or old constitution. That is all.
Other delegates who were named in the media report were called on to speak.
Anybody that is now propagating a document alleging to be a drug agreement arising from agreement of the committee is deliberately trying to truncate this. So it behoves on the leadership to come out very clearly now. Use the opportunity that we have here to come out and disown this document.
I want to affirm irrevocably and irreversibly that the leadership of this conference have nothing absolutely to do with that document. And Professor Yadudu and his book, who want to break this conference, are aware of it and made it available. And circulated it as if it was true. There's nobody who does not know that that document is a working document amongst the people that are there. And it's not a matter of a constitution of anybody who is there.
If you want to do anything by yourself, you are free to do so. But please don't put us in your discussion or your committee meeting. We have nothing to do with it. That matter should be closed for now.
And with that resolve, the conference moved on to commence consideration of the report of the Committee on Political Parties and Electoral Matters. The issue of the State Independent Electoral Commission was brought up for amendment.
The state that SIEC should be scrapped and its powers transferred to INEC. All those in favor of that, say aye. Against, say nay.
The ayes have it.
Is the minimum academic qualification for presidential, governorship, and National Assembly should be university first degree or its equivalent. All those in favor of that say aye. Aye. Against, say nay.
The ayes have it.
Now, the next report taken was that of the Committee on Political Restructuring and Forms of Government. One of the first amendments taken had to do with rotational presidency.
All those in favor of this, the office of president shall rotate between north and south and amongst the zones. All those in favor of that say aye. Aye.
The ayes have it.
Now, the conference also approved the recommendation that the principal operates with governors, only this time rotating among the 3 senatorial districts. The conference also approved the creation of 18 additional states across the 6 geopolitical zones. One amendment had to do with the national anthem.
That the conference recommends that Nigeria reverts to her old national anthem, which is a more credible symbol of unity, peace, and prosperity. All those in favor of that say aye. Aye. Against say nay.
The ayes have it. The ayes have it.
The second one,
a touching rendition there of that national anthem. Now, to our guest. He is Pastor Tunde Bakare, a Southwest delegate. I started by asking him to assess the national conference so far.
Well, so far so good. I think those who are cynical at the beginning that the conference will not even hold for a while, for a long time before it will break up, and those who had assumed that nothing good would come out of it, by now should be changing their mind, because somehow the people that gather together have a kind of consciousness that this is a make or break conference, and we want Nigeria to be together. So all hands are on deck to ensure that we reshape our nation.
Okay. I would like to take specifically this week now. We observed, those of us observing the proceeding, that there's been another change.
In what sense?
In the procedure of considering the committee reports. Now, this had been going back and forth right from when the consideration of committee reports began, and it appeared it had now been resolved to take one report a day. There was a change this time, and understanding that the issue of the duration of the conference had been the motivating factor to try and reduce the time spent on reports. This week, delegates and the conference decided again to take 2 days on each report. I really would like to understand why.
Well, yes, time is a major factor, and I'm aware that the management committee or the management group of the conference will want more time to do a thorough job, and we hope they'll be given because it's needed. But apart from that, apart from time consideration, it's not the way you cook chicken that you cook elephant. Some of the committee reports are pretty straightforward, but some are touching on the real core issues of restructuring our country. And it's not the same time you spend on timetable that you spend on almighty, whatever formula they call it in mathematics. Some things require time, and adequate time must be given. Once upon a time, it was one report per day. We'll do it up until a certain time, and then we'll make the amendments, bring in the amendments, and then adopt by way of resolution or a motion the report of such committees. But when you're talking of restructuring and forms of government, everyone is allowed, and not to short-circuit the whole process or shortchange a large number of people that want to speak. I think the management was right in saying, let us have debates for a whole day on these issues, and next day, let's take them so that nothing is swept under carpet and no one feels shortchanged.
The time cost and the possibility that you will not, or the conference may not complete the work within the given time to come out with what they want.
The conference will complete the assignment within the time given. If we need to ask for extension, like Joshua said, sun stands still, moon stands still, we will do that. Because whatever is worth doing must be done very well. If this is it, then let's give all our attention to it, because the future depends on those who on this conference, and the future belongs to those who prepare and plan for it today. So if government will have to give extension of time, it's not for monetary consideration, it's for the sake of our country and our future.
Okay, let's go into some of the happenings, some of the things that happened this week. First, Monday, we had this whole issue of a newspaper report on whether or not the Secretariat was pushing an agenda or lobbying people over a new constitution or something like that. It appeared to have brought out ethnic concerns right there on the floor. So much some people are wondering whether or not it has not soiled the relationship that may have been built from the beginning of the conference. How did you see that playing out?
I don't think so. Because if you say it had ethnic coloration, then it means it's a case of North versus South, or a particular ethnic nationality, like Fulani House or Fulani against Igbo, or Igbo against Yoruba. There was nothing like that. It was a matter of, hey, this report in the newspaper, true or false? And at the end of the day, the deputy chairman explained what they had done from the beginning. When they chose the wise men to go consider the issue of voting pattern, consensus, or we are going to vote, and how many times should it take place, and they came to it. They called people aside from the conference to dialogue with them, and they brought lasting results that we are enjoying today. So if there was going to be any controversial issue, or people are clamoring for this or that, they deserve the right, and it was wise so to do, to contact both sides of the divide if there was going to be any quarrel, and said, why don't you meet and let's do the same thing? That was all that the deputy chairman explained. As for the document they put in the newspaper as a draft constitution, you heard when High Chief Dokpesi got up and said, this is working document, and all the zones and the representatives of the zones agreed on this working document. There's some area of disagreement, but they put everything in the paper so that they can agree. It will save cost and time of the conference itself. I had the privilege of attending some of those meetings, not all of them, the AIT premises, and some of those who now are raising a query were also there. It shouldn't have gotten to the press. I think there was a bit of bad faith there, but it was quickly killed when the whole thing was brought into the open. Because if it was not brought into the open, and if you say, I will not talk, you will not talk, it will look like there's something to hide. But what carried the day is what I call the sunshine test. When it was brought to light, you saw that it was a storm in a teacup. It was unnecessary.